This is what it's really about. Today we're mixing the two. We're using social media and we are gathering together. And without the gathering, we're not going to be successful. It won't work. And this is why these gatherings are so important. It's really awesome to see all these cars still arriving, people arriving. And we're going to have a large group of people gathered together here today. And it's you that make it happen. We don't bargain on numbers or anything like that. What happens on the day is what happens. And it's really awesome to see that so many people did come out. And I'm really glad that we have the possibility of actually live streaming to other people in the country. I think one thing that we need to do in South Africa is create a South African culture of world's best practice. So we need to be the example for the world. And that is the basis for this new channel, Ground Zero. Ground Zero is there for one simple purpose, and that is to help create a critical mass of critical thinkers around the world. And I want you to help me to start that. For South Africa to be safe, and we're well on our way to ensuring that right now. This today is ground zero for that critical mass of critical thinkers. What is ground zero? When you have a nuclear explosion or anything happening that's profound or big, that is ground zero. So it's the 0 point of starting of something that is significant, that is noticeable, that is visible, and the whole world will know about it. So you are the start, and the people in this live stream, you are the start of ground zero. You can share this live stream wherever you want. Ruth, tell the people to share the live stream, please. We want people to subscribe. We want 1,000 subscribers by the end of the day. So go crazy. Share the live stream wherever you want. I'm not going to say anything today that's going to get any of us into trouble. It's going to get us into a lot of trouble. And that's okay. That's what ground zero does. So what does a nuclear explosion do? Ground zero, where the detonation happens. It's normally not, it's either underground or it's above ground, not on the ground. So you never detonate a nuclear weapon flat on the ground. It's either underground or in the air. Now, there's a lot of people doing things in the air and under the ground. So I want to create the first explosion on the ground. Okay, what does that do? It makes it radiate out around you for miles and miles. The shock waves can be felt very, very far. You actually will have the most effect if you just detonate it on the ground. The only problem is that you're going to create the most damage that way. And we want to create a lot of damage when it comes to people taking our freedom away. We want to really create damage to their ideology. We want to create damage to their thoughts. We want to create a lot of damage to their efforts. And how do we do that? We start the explosion right here, now, today. And it's such a simple concept because with the amount of people gathered here, we can change the entire country. And then the entire Africa. And then the entire world. What we have done now is hooked up people across South Africa. It's done. So there are people communicating across South Africa at the moment on the ground, not underground, because what we are doing out in the open. We're not in a tunnel right now. Okay? We can all see each other. So it's transparent. We're doing it on the ground. And how do we get critical thinking? Critical thinking happens when you learn a lot of things, and because of that, how you perceive things change. And I will discuss in detail how the way you think has been designed, and I will call it old AI, artificial intelligence, aka your school teacher, your dominee, your parents, your uncles and aunts, all the artificial intelligence in your life. Because if they didn't know something for sure and they told you something, it was artificial. All the buggers did is they've put it now, okay, on computers that can think fast. So I'm going to dissect this very nicely for you, and then you will see how you've been an extension of artificial intelligence since you were born. And how this is literally being spearheaded in the 1700s. So my perspective is going to be very different. The day that you were born, how much did you think? Not much. Okay. Anything, can you remember anything from the time that you were born? You're pretty dumb, hey? Were you dumb? Have you ever thought about it? That's critical thinking. Were you dumb as a baby, or could you just not express yourself? Okay, you couldn't express yourself. If a baby was dumb, it wouldn't scream for food. Okay, so the first thing the baby does is when it feels hunger, its screaming stops. The mother decides to feed the baby. I've spoken to many mothers that have said, I don't like breastfeeding. She did it so the screaming could stop. Not necessarily because she enjoyed it. So who was actually in charge and the most intelligent at that moment in time? The baby. Okay, think about it. Because the mother was brainwashed to believe that she must feed the baby. And we call that instinct. It's a beautiful thing, actually, because it was designed that way. Okay, it was designed that way. So the baby is actually extremely intelligent. Because it doesn't know how to use a toilet, the baby will literally do its business without thinking. It couldn't be bothered. So its digestive system will do its job. It couldn't care where it is, whether it's an appropriate time, an inappropriate time. In fact, babies run the world. And I can prove it to you. I always say, look at the evidence. Babies run the world. And very soon, babies will be treated like adults. Because our enemy understands what I'm telling you now intricately. They understand human psychology at a level that most of us cannot comprehend. And they start thinking of how to manipulate the human from the day they are born. Even before they are born, still in the womb. The manipulation of that entity starts. That babies respond to certain things different to other things, sounds, etc. Our eldest son understands music at a level that I cannot explain. You don't have to teach music because he can just go and play a piano or just start playing a guitar. Because he was at these events as a child. And it's clear that it influenced him. So don't think that that embryo and baby that grows has not got intelligence. They do. They do have intelligence. So if you want to be a critical thinker, you need to consider the intelligence of anything that has got life. If you want to build a society where we have a critical mass of critical thinkers, our enemy that wants to take our freedoms away at understanding humanity and life, we have to be a lot better at it. So we need to understand life and intelligence at a deep level. All life and all intelligence, even in the womb. Artificial intelligence does not have to be in the cyberspace. Artificial intelligence is anything when it speaks, makes a decision, or influences what you are doing. The earth is a spiral because someone else told you that the earth is a spiral and you haven't seen it for yourself as a fact. You're providing artificial intelligence to that child. And you have not applied critical thinking. So who of you have been the AI? All that's happened is that artificial intelligence has been extended to a place where it can work rapidly. So I need to take you back in history so you can see how these plans were put together for you not to be able to think critically about what you see. And you will hear many of my voice messages on Telegram groups and often some of my videos on YouTube, and you can see I'm frustrated beyond comprehension. Because I have not been able to impart a lot of information that I understand to the broad public, because I haven't felt that most people will be receptive to what I have to say. But I understand that that is just the way life is. People need to progress to a point where you can teach them more. It's no different to a child or even a baby. That they need to learn organically. The IQ in a child by forcing books down their throat so that by the age of 6, they're an Einstein. But the child doesn't know how to speak to someone next to them or interact with a person, to drink, how to get food to eat, how to shelter themselves from the elements, or how to keep themselves sane. Because their entire life has revolved around artificial intelligence, which could be their parents, a teacher, and many other things, teaching them something that is not organic or real or natural at all. So why are we not able to critically think and become better at being organic humans? What things do we do on a daily basis that is artificial? Say again? Driving? Television? Watching TV? Money? Anything else? Smoking? Coke? Smoking? Thanks, Debbie. Anything else that's artificial? Painting? Government? What else? Sorry? I can't hear. Clothes. Woohoo! We're going to start a colony here. Ish. Passing judgment on people, that's extremely natural. It's not artificial at all. That's in fact, now you're getting to normal humanity. We'll deal with that later, okay? Because now you have to decide which side do you actually want to work with. The natural society, okay? Because that's what we all want. We just want the civil society where we can get by. And it's not as simple as we think. You have to consider artificial intelligence, and all I want to tell you is that it's been there all along. That part is the most shocking. The most shocking. Who of you have seen what natural humans can do? Have actually seen it at the most debased level? I have. And civility is artificial. To maintain civility is artificial. Okay. The fact that we're wearing clothes is artificial. If you run around naked in your own house, you could care because you're doing it in your own environment. And you should absolutely do that if you want. But there's many things that we do that is artificial, that is intelligent to do. And you have to find a balance between the debased human to have a civil society. And what people consider to be civil is vastly different. It's in the eye of the beholder. And this is why we are gathered here. There are people sitting across the fence that believe through their artificial intelligence that taking people's freedom away, and in fact that it's an imperative, because then you remove any chances of that debased human nature to come out and do bad things. Do you understand that we have to strike a very complex balance here? This is not rocket science. This is galactual science. It is incredibly difficult and impossible to perfect. We cannot perfect it. What we can do is have a semblance of a bunch of people disagreeing with each other on a lot of things, not doing the most achieve. And that's not a needle in a haystack. This has been done before in many families, in many communities, in many towns, in many cities, and in many countries around the world. But think about why that doesn't exist anywhere in the world right now. It's always because of debased human nature, greed, lust, all of those things. Who of you watched that movie, The Seven Deadly Sins? So those are the worst of humanity. Now you can have a little dorpie over that koppie over there, okay? And they say 100 people living in that little village, and they're getting along just fine. They have struck the balance. Now there's a groot oak over here that just happened to walk past this town and say, wow, there's some really cool chicks here. Some really good-looking girls. And these oakies are margatte. I can block something. I think I want these women and kids for myself. And then he goes there with a big club and he blocks them to the two different villages if he wants to. Would you believe me if I tell you that this has happened throughout history so many times? For the reals. It's happened for water. It's happened for bicycles, the First World War. It's happened for as many reasons as you can imagine. Things that you will think today, it's impossible. How can thousands of men die on a battlefield for one woman? How is this possible? But it is. It's happened. And you have to ask yourself why. If you don't understand artificial intelligence, you will not understand how a commander could get thousands of people to lay down their lives for a woman that he wants. How does he do that? When they have their own wives and their own kids. How is this possible? Easy. He used the highest artificial intelligence against them. So what did he tell them? I like me. He just got the troops to do it for him. Lots of them. How was it possible for him to make his way all the way to India? I want you to go and look on a world map how far those oaks walked. You are now in the situation you're in. Those people walked to India. Why did they want to go all the way to India? They believed that they were saving all these other barbaric people that they were finding along the way, that they were chopping up left, right, and center. We're going to come and save you. Does it sound familiar when the British arrived here? Okay? You first go and kill the people, then you send in the missionaries afterwards. Erect the churches and preach to everyone. And I'm not trying to, this is not bashing religion. I'm telling you what happened. I'm a religious person myself, religious media. But this is not a religious gathering. I'm giving you history and a perspective on history that you need to understand if we are going to fight. Because do you think Alexander, when he got to these places and he conquered them, said to the people, okay, I'm taking this land, it's now mine, and you can do what you want? No. You're not going to do things the way I say. You're going to do it. Cape Exit? Who of you here are Cape Exit supporters? Because I'll turn your head around like a spinning top, so flippant fast. You have no idea what people are discussing behind closed doors that they will do to your freedom once they have that power and control. You have no idea. In any case, that's still in the future. Think about what people are willing to give to stay alive. So, there are people that would be willing to fight to remain free. And then there were people that were willing to give up everything to stay alive. And this is where we are now in history. If you look at all the conquerings that's happened around the world, and it is, oh, but I used to live in this land and now I want to take it back. The guy that took the land from you is stronger than you, is going to donor you again. It's that simple. So, and then blitz him those back and tell him to get the hell out. It's not that simple in the world we live in today, because the plan was always to break down cultures, break down beliefs, break down families, break down communities. This was all part of a meticulous plan. And we are living that plan. Not just are we living that plan, we are implementing it. And this is the most important thing that you need to understand. And the most important part of creating a critical mass of critical thinkers is the fact that you need to know that you are a person that's implementing a plan to take your freedom away. And we will later speak about how you are doing that and how many of your actions are fully aligned to you becoming more and more enslaved. And it's not rocket science to actually figure it out. Once I explain it to you, it will make perfect sense. And you'll be shocked to see how much effort you put into taking your own freedom away. Every single day. And I don't want to say it's your fault. For one simple reason. You were programmed to do it through artificial intelligence from the day you were born. Artificial intelligence. Who of you have told your kids about Father Christmas? Hands up. Okay. Nonsense. Why did you do that? You were programmed to do it. When I was a lady, I'll never forget, I had to go and ring the bell when I realized that this is a twak story for the first time. And my mom realized that I realized this is a twak story. And I'll never forget, it was Christmas Eve, and I just gotten out of the bath. And she said, "Gaan lady klokkie nou." We had this little bell that I could ring so that my three sisters, who were younger than me, can believe that Father Christmas had just come past. I ran outside in my underpants around the house, ringing this bell, because she wouldn't even give me time to put on my pants. So there's me running in my underpants outside, and it was a Speedo type, so it's not so cool. Right around the house, and my sisters believed that Santa Claus had just passed by. Hook, line, and sinker. And I was part of the conspiracy. The artificial intelligence. Utter tripe. Why do we do it? Why is it so natural for us? Okay, we're going to have an artificial flying umbrella soon. Shucks. It's really awesome. I really want to thank all of you for coming out here. For those of you that don't know, the bathrooms are just inside the door here to your right. If you need the bathrooms, thank you so much. 60 people in the live stream. And hopefully, this live stream will be able to continue so people around the country can watch this. So, think about your role in creating that artificial intelligence and how it stopped you from thinking critically. Because this is the crux. How can you be a critical thinker like me, with me, Desmond, gaan lady klokkie, go ring the bell so your sisters can believe Father Christmas has come. I run outside, I ring the bell. Okay, that's what I did. And I thought it's so cool to see my sisters smiling. It was very artificial, the fact that they smiled about that. And we still had a real Christmas tree, afgesaag in die back. Okay, chopped off in the mountain, a proper pine tree. And you know, after a while, it starts to die and the needle starts to fall. But I remember getting pricked by putting cotton wool all over the tree and all the other things that we did. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that. Every year, our kids love decorating a tree. And why are we doing that? Because other people are doing it. For no other reason. At least we tell our kids that. And we give them an option and say, do you want to do this? So it becomes a family decision instead of artificial intelligence. So it's a step in the right direction, not quite there. But all of us need to ask ourselves, how many things do we do every single day because you were told to do it? So when you wake up in the morning, how many of you have a certain ritual? Hands up. Okay, so there's many of you that have a certain ritual in the morning. Okay? Have you ever questioned the fact that you do that? Have you ever questioned that there's a better way of doing something? Or there could be a more enjoyable way? Why are you in that ritual? It comes from artificial intelligence. There's absolutely no reason for you to do that. And I'm not going to tell you to stop. But you need to start critically thinking that you could drastically improve your life by changing your habit. I don't know what you're doing. It might be really cool. But you could actually have a more fulfilling life if you don't do what Klaus Schwab said, okay? But if you just stand back and think about what you are doing before you do it. In the nuclear industry, we have what we call the 2M rule. 2 minutes and 2 meters. So for 2 minutes, you actually hurt yourself. So it's to prevent injury. And it's a really good thing to do. Any critical thinker can use something like that to start reevaluating what you do every single day. The things you do without even thinking that you're doing it. Now, fortunately, my family has become so busy that we think about nothing. Things just happen to us. There's no rituals. We don't know from one moment to the next where the phone charger is or what's happened with this and what's happened with that. We lost our last phone charger, although we had all the one charger in a pen holder. And she was 100% convinced that she didn't touch it. All I'm trying to prove to you is that is the result of having zero program and zero ritual. We have none. It's downside, people. So I have certain rituals, like when I walk into the house, the keys of the car and my wallet goes to a place. I do that because practically it's taught me that I won't freaking lose it when I need it most. So it's an important thing for me to do because of experience. But not because my father said so or my mother said so. It's because or my mother said so. It would help me in future to not lose my keys again. And I can use that anywhere I go. It doesn't just happen in my house. Wherever I go, I'll find a spot, even if it's in a guest house or wherever I'm staying over, that I'll put the keys and I'll put my wallet. And then I'll tell my wife where I've put it. That's very important. And then I tell her again and again and again. You have to do it 6 times. You have to do it 6 times for it to sink in. Okay? As this morning, yesterday I stuck over 70 posters onto boards. This morning I put up 28 of those. I can't think of myself and what I want. Putting up, we're not going to disperse them. Is put a post on every flippant pole around the circle, so that everyone that goes past there cannot say that they have not seen this poster. Sink in, because that's how I also learned. It was no different for me. So we put up 9 posters at one circle. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. You cannot miss it. And so you're going to think, yes, like, wat gaan aan? Because it's like the battle of the posters out there. Wat gaan aan? Because it's like the battle of the posters out there. So, I think that Lauren and I have taught ourselves based on experience is we always question what we believe. Is it right? And our kids teach themselves. We are in fact too scared to teach them, too scared that we would influence them in any way. And let me tell you, the result is unbelievable. I wish I was a result of no brainwashing and no artificial intelligence. It's unbelievable. I wish I was a result of no brainwashing and no or making their own conclusions because of it, and someone actually sitting teaching them what they are reading is vastly different. The perception of that child and their ability, our innate human ability to understand things in different ways, is unbelievable. What happens when all of us understand things differently? This happens. All of you want the same, that comes up with vastly different ideas of achieving the same end goal. And some of those ideas will be bad, some of those ideas will be brilliant. As long as there is a wide variety of thought, you can have success if you have a common end goal. But there's a trap. If everyone starts with group the same way, you are screwed before you've even started. And that is why when people tell me that they follow me, I say, asseblief hou op. Don't follow me. Just listen to what I have to say. I'm just another oak with information. That's all I am. Follow your own mind and create truths for yourself in your own mind. Because my mind has taught me that the more people can look at things from different angles, from different perspectives, the better a solution you will find amongst them. And not everyone is going to come up with the best idea, but a person will. If everyone is trained to think the same way, you don't stand a chance. You see what's happening in the world right now is because of groupthink. The scientific world is a good example of groupthink right now. The best inventions in the history of the world has come from individuals that were scoffed and scorned at by all of their peers in the scientific community. Every single invention. Other people have said, nee, maar dis twak. This is nonsense. It's never going to work. Why do people say things like that? That is the most debased part of human nature coming out. And in this second hour of the first part, I'm going to start talking about that debased part of human nature. When you can think many different things, but you all want to be free, you have a recipe for success. The moment you all belong to the same religion, the same culture, the same everything, you will automatically, because of human nature, start and everything will fail. It is the easiest thing to subvert, infiltrate, and control a group of people that think the same. And that is why I tell people, don't believe a word I say. Believe yourself. Use the information only. I want to be like one of the encyclopedia books that I've read in my lifetime, and I've decided what to do with that information. That's all I want to be, is for you to see me as one of the inputs in your life, information that you can use, and then make it your own. Go and create your own reality with regards to that, because then you will help me, because you might be able to come up with brilliant ideas in society. And on the Double Days tour, I have seen that everywhere. Incredible people with incredible ideas, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing. Because we don't have groupthink. Don't have groupthink. The success of this project is in our diversity. Diversity of thought, diversity of beliefs, diversity of culture, diversity of background, diversity of experience. It is what makes us humans that have progressed or that are willing to progress to the highest level of existence. What is the highest level of existence of people? There's two levels of existence of people. There's two different levels of existence that you can choose from now. And within those two levels of existence, there will be a wide range of people. The first level of existence is one where people want to stay alive at all costs and will give up everything to stay alive. The second is where the group of people will do everything in their power to stay free to choose. And that is it. At the moment in the history of the world, there is nothing else to choose from. That is the choice. That is the battle line. That is where the line is drawn in the sand. To choose to stay alive, or will you choose to be free, even if you lose your life? It's a simple choice. What the Double O Days channel was about. But the Double O Days channel has limitations. It's rooted only in South Africa. It is focused on South Africa, and it will continue to do that. And it'll actually get quite exciting, because I'm going to be visiting many historic sites and actually make blog type videos where I show you buildings and plaques and designs and all sorts of things that will blow your mind. Right here in Cape Town, in Port Elizabeth, in KwaZulu-Natal, in Gauteng, all over the country. That's going to blow your mind, because it's not written in the annals of history, where people that understand artificial intelligence and how to use it very wisely have been able to form their society that they want for their own benefit. Because you don't have to be Alexander anymore and storm a bunch of people with swords. No, you just need a TV in someone's home. Freaking buy it, and then you just send them stuff. Let you just get people to buy a cell phone, and you send them stuff. But we'll get to the cell phone later. That should be quite a kicker, because that cell phone is at the moment in control of you. And I'll explain why. An extension of that cell phone. The cell phone is not an extension of you, and we'll cover that later. But think about the fact that you, as an individual, and you grew up with habits throughout your entire life because of it, without questioning. And all I want you to do now is start to become a critical thinker. That's all. I want you to think, flip, I'm opening a tap. Should I have a tap? Should there be a tap? Should it look like this? Should the basin look like this? Why is there a drain running out of here? Shouldn't it rather be outside the house? I want you to really start to think critically. Because basins look the same now for hundreds of years. And you need to ask yourself why. Toilets have been the same now for hundreds of years. And you have to ask yourself, why? Do you know that cars haven't changed? It's just the trims that have changed. Nothing else has changed. How is that possible when everything that involves artificial intelligence has advanced like you cannot believe? It's on an exponential curve of growth. That includes us being artificially intelligent. But everything else is at a standstill. Have you ever wondered why that is? Say again? Control of fossil fuels is a small part of it. The people that run the world, the families that run the world, control all the fossil fuels in the world. Believe me, they're not against fossil fuels. For them to generate more income with other things. And it's not for them to make money. And this is where you make the mistake. It's for them to get control over how you spend your money. Do you understand the difference? It's about where you spend your money. They don't need money. They understand that money is not necessary. Money is just a tool to achieve their end objective, which is to create the most intelligent thing they could come up with. What is that most intelligent thing? That leads to consumerism, that leads to us accepting. And that is the method, by the way. Consumerism is the gateway to a one world government via a new world order that's been created amongst us. We are that order. It's us. Okay, someone just got streamed somewhere. Congratulations. So think about that. We are this new order, and in South Africa, it has failed dismally up until now. We are the most harakat nation on the planet. I was looking at Jeremy Nell's Telegram group, which is a hectic bunch of people. I was exposed to it in last week for the first time. I didn't even know it existed because he had done some poll that he told me about. It's fascinating the things that people put on there. And he's gone over 10,000 followers on that Telegram group. And I would encourage you to join that to actually just see and observe when you have time. And to see proudly that South Africa is right at the top in resisting being mandated to do something. Right at the top in the world. Why are we that harakat? Because this artificial intelligence doesn't work so lekker here. Does it mean that we're a dumb bunch? No, it actually absolutely does. We don't care about how intelligent other people think we are. We don't care about it. We want to live a certain lifestyle in this country. And that goes for most people. Most people just want to have family. They want to enjoy their family. They want their family to have a place where they can grow up and just have a fulfilling life and feel loved. And I will speak about love a lot during the session, because love is literally the only thing that can overcome this artificial intelligence craze. Because artificial intelligence cannot love, even if it comes from your mother, your father, your priest, your uncle, your aunt, your teacher in school, your best friend. If it's artificial intelligence, it cannot come from a place of love. These are such basic principles. And unfortunately, most people aren't aware of these principles because it's not being taught to you deliberately. Because you need to be artificially intelligent. Which means that your intelligence sits on your phone, or on your laptop, or on a calculator, or anywhere but in your brain. Think about that. That your intelligence is not in your head. So what does that say about South Africa? That our phones and laptops and computers and everything else don't control us as much as they control people in the rest of the world. And that is a fact. If you go to other countries in the world, who of you have traveled overseas recently? Okay, there's a few people. When you go to many other countries in the world, people are attached to their devices permanently. They wouldn't be able to sit here and listen to me waffle on for 4 hours. They would be on their phone because that phone dictates their lifestyle. The phone actually dictates your lifestyle. It dictates what you will do next. It even gives you a message to tell you, look at me now. And then you run to the phone. Oh, I got a message. And then you look. And then you see, I got a WhatsApp message. And then you feel validated. Okay, that ringtone is beautiful. That's beautiful. David, please grab that. Yeah, it's awesome. That is so fitting right now. So the ringtone goes off, and Debbie now has to answer the phone. Okay? Okay, Debbie didn't answer the phone. So, there's the tune again. It's telling her that you didn't answer the first time. You will answer the second time. Okay, it's persistent AI. So every time you do something from now on, I want you to think, should I be doing this? And while I'm standing here talking to you, I thought now numerous times, should I be doing this? Should I have a camera in front of me with a laptop? Oh, wow, there's 175 people watching. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you all with us. How many of you here are watching on YouTube? Come on, admit it. Oh, we have one over there. Okay, that's awesome. So, yeah, we're actually a very large group because of this. And hopefully in future, like I said, this is the last meeting like this that I will have. I will not impart this information again. I will do many other meetings in future, but that'll be for us to actually enact what I've discussed here today. And this is why we're actually putting it out there. So each and every one of us sitting here today, and we're going to have a break in 15 minutes time. Okay. But like I said, for those of you that are new, the bathrooms are just around the corner here. If you enter the building to your right, if you're looking for the bathrooms. that phone or laptop or whatever is dictating to you what to do. So 20 years ago, did that exist at all? 30 years ago, not a chance. Okay, it didn't exist. So did we get along just fine? We didn't die or anything like that, right? So why did we have to advance to this? To be controlled for no other reason. None. No other reason. The advances in cars. What advances are happening in cars right now? Self-driving and monitoring, tracking and tracing. Cloud. That's the only advancement. How smart can you make a car look? Really? I mean, you just have to look at the Tesla Bucky to see that things are going backwards now. It might have all the fancy tech inside of it, but that thing is as ugly as hell. And I'm not a calm person at all. But think about it. All the technology being developed now is to monitor, track, and trace you and control your behavior. In other words, you become an extension of your vehicle. So you're going to be driving down the road. Hi, Jared. You're going to be driving down the road and your car's going to say, hey, there's a cool restaurant just around the corner. They're running a special on this pizza. And the moment you think about it, okay, the camera in the front is going to pick up you interested. And then someone's going to start turning that wheel. Especially the Volvos. I've driven one of the Volvo XC90s. And you can just cup your hands over the steering wheel and there it goes along the lines on the N1. No flipping problem. And this was in 2017 already. Okay, so imagine what they can do today. So all the advancement in cars is to control what you will do. So how does that advance civility in the world? To the people that believe that your freedom needs to be removed for civility, that is absolutely what they believe needs to happen. How convenient is it for your car to tell you where you can find a nice juicy steak? But you see, in this new world, Carlac steak is not going to come from a cow, okay? Sorry to the vegetarian, or is it vegans? We're not hurting any animals today, please. So think about it, that you will not have the choice in future to even eat that pizza or that steak. You will not have a choice to get into an aircraft because all aircraft are going to be grounded in future. They will literally not be flying in the sky anymore. So enjoy seeing these little mosquito flying around here in the sky. Because those oaks are enjoying themselves now while they still can. How soon do you think we are going to have our first climate lockdown? December, as in you are not allowed to leave your house with a car because of the climate. Tuesday. I would not be surprised. However, remember, we are focusing on what's happening in the world now. Ground zero is about what we are doing here to influence people in the rest of the world. South Africa is going to be the freest place to be then. It already is the freest place now. Because we can police are allowed over here to beat up someone like Debbie. That is how free our country is. It doesn't make it right. But we can go and burn down entire shopping centers in KwaZulu-Natal and raid the entire place. That's how free we are. Freedom comes at a cost. And that is why we need to make sure, and this is the next focus now, that we don't get in touch with the most debased part of humanity and the capabilities of humans to do the most debased things possible. Strike that balance. And to do that, to maintain civility and protect human life, which I hope all of you can agree with. Do you agree that we want to maintain a semblance of civility and protect human life at least? That should be a focus for all of us, right? We need to understand how artificial our intelligence is, and we need to understand how debased our actions are. So when I went to the shop the other day and I bought 5 Bourneville Dark large slabs of chocolate and I put it on top of the trolley that was filled with toilet paper, the people looked at me funny. We do funny things like that, Lauren and I. There's not actually. I mean, I'm 50, she's 33. We have a 16-year age gap. We have a 16-year age gap. I am literally married to a millennial. I'm a Virgo, she's an Aquarian. You couldn't get further apart. It's impossible to separate anyone along the way you do things further apart than the two of us, which is proof that diversity is success. We are living proof. I always say, look at the evidence, and the evidence will show you what works. If you have a common goal at human nature. So what are the most debased things that humans can do? Sorry, YouTube. What are the most debased things that humans can do? Plunder, rape, murder, steal. We haven't mentioned corruption yet. The first bribery and corruption starts in the home. Why are we blaming the politicians? They were taught to do that since they were lighties. The other form, as jy dit doen, sal ek vir jou chocolate gee. I will give you a chocolate if you do this. Okay? Millennials versus my generation. I don't know which one you choose. It's still bribery and corruption. And the first real proper bribery and corruption happened in the 1780s when Amschel Rothschild offered money for people to become members of the Bavarian Illuminati. For people to be blamed. What a flippin' idiot. To give all his gold coins to such a corrupt bliksem. That then use that to control all of the world's finances. Buy up governments, militaries, the DA, the ANC, all sorts around the world. Now it's Freedom Front Plus as well. Goodness gracious, I didn't expect that actually, I must be honest. So, how on earth did we get to this when they started this AI plan back then? And I've never, but go and watch my Moments in Time series and my Question Everything series and update yourself. He was the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati. Yes, unfortunately, they were real. And fortunately, they were banned later. Imagine where the world would have been if that lot was still going. They weren't just banned, there was a death. Once that happened, they scattered worldwide. However, they planned birth and the first development of artificial intelligence to control your mind from birth. Like I said before, you don't need cameras when you can get Klikkebekker living next to you. Saying, no, that oak is growing a daga plant in a backyard. Call the police. Here in Joburg, you're allowed 5 chickens. Maybe we should move there. Maybe not. Why do people not question twak like that? Question twak like that. Do you know how easy it was for you to start considering my property value? It was, Jared will know all about it. He was in a state, my property value. And because he actually spoke out on corruption, and then because of it. So I really want to thank you for doing something like that, Jared. We can give him a hand of applause for that. Then you must connect your water, connect your electricity, because there's availability. If you don't connect it, you're still going to pay for the availability, whether you use it or not. People question whether that is okay or not. Why don't we question? Because they started brainwashing you with hogwash, telling you that your entire life is based on getting an education so you can buy a house years of your flippant life. And we gladly do this. Did you know this? Did you know that there is no alternative to that choice that you are given when you're going to school? Now you need to ask yourself, what was that teacher taught in college? Becomes your ritual. It was my then get a job, get married, have kids. Rough. Then get a job, get married, have kids. And I'm standing here. Okay, a lot of things went wrong along the way to make this possible. Okay. So think to yourself, how did you get to believe that it's okay to live in the system? And I'm not saying that the housing market is wrong. I'm saying that the control of the housing market is wrong. How it's done is wrong. How it's bonded is wrong. How land is acquired is wrong. There's so many things that did he pay us? No money exchange hands. He had control. So, did they pay for it? No. Do they want it? No. So what do? Fortune. You don't have to duck. It's looking this way. Needs to go into that. And of these habits, because we've been programmed to think a certain way. And, you know, we can laugh about it, but at the end of the day, this is quite serious, because if we don't think about this really critically, and we'll get to the market just now again, we will lose our freedom completely. Completely, not slightly, completely. We will lose all of it. Because that is the plan, is to lose all of our freedoms. Not our plan. The people that doesn't want us to do what we're doing now, to be free, because they believe that this is debased. The fact that we can choose to be free like this and want a system where they don't control the judiciary, the government, the banks. Though you will see that throughout the systems in the world, that this council of 13 families that are also in the committee of 300 people that run all the sub-organizations that are subverting all governments around the world and all other institutions, till us poor plebs at the bottom of this pyramid of hell, to not get you to stop them from achieving their one goal. And that is to create the perfect world. For who? For them. Well, and you need to understand how we can create a critical mass of critical thinkers, not to stop that from happening in the world, but for that to influence us here and in other places around the world where people want to be free. We need other countries in the world to understand this threat, gather their people together the same way that we are, understand the threat perfectly, and then educate themselves to the point where they can have a semblance of freedom in their lifetime and in their children's lifetime. This is vital. Now, to finish off, before we take a break, with the most debased things that humans can do. The most debased thing you can do is to believe that you are a debased human. Because that's where it starts. How is this created? In the school system, at your house, wherever in society. It's that child that is teased at school, bullied at school. They are told that they are not important, that they are not loved. And remember, I said I will speak about love a lot. That they aren't clever, that they aren't all these things that they are supposed to be. And it's all fake. It's all artificial intelligence. How many of you have been told in your lifetime that you are unimportant or that you are bad at things? How many of you have been told that in your life? Okay, that's about half of you here. I actually had a guy that used to wait for me after school to throw my suitcase over the fence into a farm where I would have to walk from my house into a heck of a lot of thorns to get to my suitcase. And he absolutely loved doing that. And I had to get home. Eventually, I actually walked kilometers far to bypass this out so that I could get home. And he got a lot of satisfaction because, as I found out later, this person was told that he was worth nothing. The only value that he could get was to bully me. And I feel sorry for that person. It is horrible that anyone should believe or think that they are not valuable, that hasn't got infinities. Every single human, consumerist food chain, to believe that they are debased, that they are not good enough to have a better form of life, that they must have a job, that they must have a... If you actually sit in meetings of the world elite and listen how they speak about us, you will vomit. It is absolutely shocking. And they absolutely believe that they are doing us a favor. So once again, I'll repeat, the most debased thing that you can be is to believe that you are a debased human being. Because it's just a choice. So what are we naturally born to do? And I want to end on a high note before we go to the break. When you see kids play, they can naturally get together, get to know someone else, when you have not created any artificial intelligence with regards to other kids. How many of you have created artificial intelligence with your kids about other kids? Many people do that without even knowing. My kids do not judge because they don't know how judging works, because they're not shown it. So they will go and play with any child. And if there's something that they have been taught is bad, they will walk away, and we trust them to do that. But they will make the decision because we teach them values. And then they will decide for themselves whether what they are doing is within their values or not. Children, when they grow up, when they're not a baby anymore and they start growing up, they naturally look for the good in other people. You don't have to teach them that. They will naturally do that. Until you isolate them and you get groupthink to take over and you remove their diversity, then you get Lord of the Fly playing out. Who of you have watched the movie Lord of the Fly or read the book? Okay. Isn't that an interesting human dynamic? You remove diversity, you institute groupthink, and it's chaos. It is using the most debased part of humanity to achieve an end goal. And the Bavarian Illuminati did this to perfection. Now, that organization doesn't exist. It hasn't existed for a very long time. But the ideology is firm and strong. How do we know this? Look at the evidence. What did Adam Weishaupt write in his last 4 books? What did he say we should do in the world? And you will see it playing out today. You will see many people writing about these plans being discussed in many societies, a lot of them secret out there in the world, discussing these very specific ideologies that makes you as a human most debased and make us compete against each other like animals. The moment you remove that normal humanity that a child has from adults, you become an android, a cyborg, or a robot. You can call it whatever you want, but that's what you are. All of us are that to a degree. And from the moment that Android phones came on the market, you became an extension of the phone. It used you. And in the second half, we will speak at length, because it's almost 1:45, about how your critical thinking is being influenced with the information that you are being fed on a continuous basis to make sure that you're to be the organizations will create all these false flags to tell you that that thing up there is evil. It's evil. The sun is evil. It gives light, it gives life. What else? It's an absence of light that does not exist. It's an absence of light that exists. Of light. It's AI that nonsense. There's no such a thing as darkness. There's a lack of light. So that sun up there, and this light that I've put here, so that people can see me on YouTube, is there to enlighten, to light up, so that people can see, so things are not hidden. And to light up, so that people can see, so things are not hidden. And for some reason, that is being associated with the Bavarian Illuminati when their symbol was the owl. Does that make an owl evil? Who of you like owls? Does it make you evil? Oh, you are all Satan worshippers. To believe utter nonsense. Because we haven't learned to critically think. And it is us embracing our debasedness that stops us from critically thinking about things. And that is why you cannot advance. You cannot become. One example I've used many times of the word damned, what it means to be damned. And I want to make sure that you are not damned. If you have a dam and there's no water running into it, it's stagnant. When water and a mixture of water running out of the dam, if fresh water keeps on running, you're replenishing that dam with new water all the time. It's like your brain getting new information continuously. So that's what it means to be damned. Your actions, through what you do, and influence society for good. When you're damned, you are only focusing on your most debased self. Waking up in the morning, making a cup of coffee, pooping, peeing, eating, working, sleeping, watching TV. Okay, sorry, I had to add in the TV. I haven't watched TV now in 13 years, so I was one of those people doing that debased thing. Sitting there with a remote, clicking away until I pass out, and then I wake up at 3 in the morning when I was a shift worker. It was horrible. I was a robot. The TV controlled my arm and my hand. Because I didn't have to do it. There was nothing forcing me to do it. I allowed an external force to influence my mind to do things with my hand. Just see these millennials, those fingers, they can go real fast. There should be an Olympics for typing on smartphones. When you see these youngsters, yes, they should do weightlifting with those in his fingers that work really hard. We need to, as humans, not believe that we are debased and use the most debased part of humanity in our life as our habit. We need to, every single day, critically think about everything we do. While you're sitting there, you need to think, am I wasting my time sitting here? If you feel like you're wasting your time, you actually need to get up and leave. You need to critically think about that and act on it. And sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes you're going to get it right. Don't be debased, because we have to move above that. Just like the sun rises every morning, you should be able to rise above the debasedness of your humanity. Now, I've never met a person that has done that more than my wife. I'm a very debased person, I'm sorry. It's just, I battle. This is something I battle with. Fortunately, my mind understands my debased state, so I battle it all the time. I often have to ask Lauren, are you even a freaking human? Because she cannot understand this human state. She doesn't understand that liquids come out of our body and all sorts of things like that. It bothers her, like really. And she just wants to move on to what comes next. She can't wait, in fact. And that is why she wants to try and do something to change our reality to the best possible reality for our kids. So I really want to thank you for listening to the first half. Thanks to everyone in the live stream. We're going to have a quick 10-minute break before we start the next part. And then I will spend some time with the people here on YouTube. I'll be able to speak to them, not over the PA, but on the laptop, and spend some time with everyone on YouTube that's come onto the live stream. So you can all take a toilet break, say hi to each other, get to know each other. Thank you so much for listening. The second half is about how we solve this problem. Okay, thank you very much. So, why this channel Ground Zero exists? Creating a critical mass of critical thinkers. And we have to start somewhere. And today is an excellent start. If you do root cause analysis of why we behave the way we do, you can go back to school because your parents were taught them to teach you the way they did. The dominee, the preacher, and they were taught the same thing. And these can be the best people in the world, the kindest people in the world, because it's your own parents you how to become a slave to stupidity and do stupid things. We are all to blame. How do we break that cycle? We can only break the cycle through critical thinking. I did not follow the normal route. I questioned everything that happened. And bad things happened to me in my life, as well as to my wife, that made us the way that we are. Very bad things. And this is why one single person, and that includes every single one of you, can change this entire world. And when I start doing videos on this Ground Zero, I will show you how the water flows all the way into the sewage plant. So some of these videos will take time. However, it'll hopefully help people around the world to start thinking about the basic things that they don't think about. Do I use sunlight liquid or do I use something else? These are the questions we have to ask. And the more that's coming from that thing up there, okay? Worry about what's happening in your backyard, in your own dam, river, sea, the beach where you swim. Dig like this deep into the sand and see what sludge and freaking crap is underneath there. when your kids play there, especially when the ships pump out their bulges and whatnot. Think about things like that. And ask yourself, why are they talking about global warming? That you'll continue learning that. For you buy a camping chair, how was this manufactured? Where did it come from? China's brilliant AI against us. And we just willingly use that. How can you blame them for that? Eh? They are smart. Very clever in giving you substandard products at a premium price. And as long as you believe that paying for a little speaker like this, that you can buy the 800 Rand version, how did you like the sound today? Excellent. Because this little speaker is 15,000 Rand. And it's got no amplifier built into it. This is a passive speaker. That amplifier over there would cost 40,000 Rand. So just the amplifiers together is 70,000 Rand. Now you could have gone, then we're going to start supplying them those 5 things, and they will pay us for it. Controlling first. Water. You can go down the 5 things that I mentioned to you all the time. Water, food, shelter, energy, and something to keep you sane. Where do we get that from today? Government and large corporations. End of story. How on earth did we get there? Because in the 1800s, we got none of that from governments or large corporations. Zero. Zilch. Did people have freedom back then? Did they live in fear back then? Yeah. Remember the oak with a big, large knippel that can moor you from over the hill? So I have to tie in this fear of being bliksem, because that's a very important tool that could be used. So firstly, easy. You organize a gang. Down to the river every day. You check it out. You see, whatever way. This news spreads throughout the village. It's dangerous to fetch water. The next day, Oak rocks up with a wagon. Problem solved. Create the crisis, provide the solution. This is the world we're living in. I can prove it to you with every single place in the world. Exactly what I'm telling you now. The same with food. What do you do with food? How do you make sure that people become reliant on other people to provide you with food? Even clothing. You create a thriving salt industry. You create the spice routes. Have you ever wondered why spices became a big thing? It was in food. They'll say, I don't want to eat that. It tastes weird. Curry or many other awesome things. And I include myself. I don't know when last I've had curry. Any office. But think about it. So you create a spice route. That spice route now becomes the thing to want. You want pepper. You want salt. You want all these things. And the neighbor says, I got salt. And you're like, what is that? Say, taste you. Can I get some of yours? Their bank balance. How much they leave for their kids. But while their kids were alive, they didn't live with their kids. They did nothing with their kids, with that money. It's insanity. So the road is a good enough quality that it doesn't flip and develop potholes to begin with. Why can't we do that? Did many societies do that before? Absolutely. So why are things different now? Because of artificial intelligence. You've been conditioned to believe that all there is to life is a 9-to-5 job. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with jobs. Very free. Why must I come to a workstation and clock in? Why can't I just work from home? Why can't we create a new reality where you are still free? But no, to enslave us even more. Because they do want full control. They don't want to give you the freedom to do what you want, because then they will never end up with this one world government plan. They won't end up with that. Why do they need this one world government? Because they need artificial intelligence to fully integrate with your humanity. And at the moment of the phone, they want you out of the equation. And if there's one bombshell that I can drop today, it is the fact that you are not part of the in-game plan on the planet, humans. What evidence do we have? Any ideas? There's actually people telling us that we should all kill ourselves. There's your evidence. There's that we shouldn't have stewardship over the earth anymore. That humanity should cease to exist. Now, many of you might think that Elon Musk is a complete and utter nutter. He has a very high IQ, and if you listen to everything he says, he will give you a lot of information. You don't have to see it as fact. He won't be a part of the system, so he wants to bugger off. And he wants to take humans with him, because he knows the plan. He knows that all of humanity is under threat, and that this calamity has to be created to make us believe that we should not be here, that we should not just sacrifice our freedom, but our very existence for the planet. I call it earth worship. We have stewardship here on earth, and we should do it with responsibility, because I believe myself and my children have a right to live on this planet. Please start to think critically. We don't have time to worry about the top 3 parties in the country, please. We don't. We are facing an existential threat, which is humans wanting you to exist, literally. So tonight you can go Google, use Google, our most famous spy network, and Google will see all of a sudden who wants all humanity to end. And you will find tens of thousands of people advocating for this. So we are behind, okay? And this is, I don't start something because of frivolity. I start something because it's necessary. So what we are starting here today is serious. I want you to take this burden on your shoulders to understand or comprehend what I've said instantly. Don't watch this recording again and watch it again when you have time until you understand. I've had this information for many years, and it's been a burden on me. The fact that you need to understand that people want humans to cease to exist completely is an important part of how you should live, how you should make decisions, how you should think about things. And with everything you do, think, what am I doing to contribute to lifetime and that of our children and our children's children? And for those of you that think that the end of the world is going to come soon, who of you thought it was the 28th? The 28th, the world was supposed to end. Okay, laugh about it, because in that moment, to those people, it's real. When it was artificial intelligence, in other words, there is no evidence for it. That's why I believe, and I will keep on saying that over and over. And I really want you to take that to heart and understand why we need to be ready for any eventuality, because the future of humanity is at stake. The world elites are not going to allow humans to exist in few places. Someone asked me earlier, what is actually going to happen? The smart cities are being built right. There's very rich people that will fund a lot of these ideas, and that they will make it mainstream. The whole concept of us separating from the country and then establishing a new world order within the Western Cape first, as a footprint to take it throughout the rest of Africa. Because remember, the goal is not just South Africa. Everything they're doing is on a worldwide footprint, and to one of the most prized stones, because an elitist said so. How did they do it? Artificial intelligence. All they had to do is say to the world, this is the hardest flipping rock. Every woman wants diamonds in a ring. That's literally what happened. Literally. And through that artificial intelligence being created, that concept spread throughout the world. And now diamonds are prized. Kreef en perlemoen. Let's go to crayfish and perlemoen. What was it called when I was a lightie? Poor man's food. So you see all these poor people eating this stuff, and all of a sudden, a quack story. And some out from China comes and say, aphrodisiac. And what happens? All of a sudden, divers bring perlemoen out of the sea, and now it's a delicacy. It's not just a delicacy, it gets controlled by government. Anything that has value gets controlled. Imagine tomorrow we decide we're not going to drive our cars anymore. What does the value of fuel become overnight? If you want the fuel price to drop, I'm not joking. All you have to do is get everyone in the country to stop driving for a week. Because do you know that our levy on fuel is a percentage? So as the fuel price goes up, they literally get more money. It shouldn't be a percentage. It should be a value. Because our government is actually a business. Imagine if we can grow that are organized, deciding on a day that we are today, for the next week or the next month, because we have food and water at home, buying nothing from large corporations. Next. What's going to happen to the food price? Doing that, you'll bring the country not to its knees, you'll bring it to freedom. Because all you would have done is shown the large corporations that you are not that important. And this is why, currently, the biggest fight is to make sure you have that freedom. Smart cities will implement a system where you will be integrated with a smart web. Toll gates, and believe me, you'll get told like you've never been told before, even told what to do. In that system, it'll be a transitionary system to a world where only the people that comply the most gets the most benefit. So people will be sifted out. Those that don't make the grade will be put into districts, just like in the Hunger Games. For those of you that wonder, this is being implemented in KwaZulu-Natal right now. Because there will be no more people getting married. There will be no more mother and father with kids. And humanity will cease to exist in a few generations. This is the plan. You don't even need to kill them. Women will give birth for the state so that they can control everything. They're trying their best now with cryptocurrency in the blockchain so that every transaction of yours can be monitored. And I'm not saying you mustn't trade in cryptocurrency. I'm telling you that it is put there to fully control every transaction you do and monitor every transaction you do. When you have physical money still, even if it's worth nothing, it's still legal tender, and you can hide it and do a deal behind closed doors without a camera watching you. It's still a form of exchange and legal tender at this stage. Think about your role right now when you go home in how you will change how you think, practical think. And you put your slippers on. I want you to think, who made those slippers? Was that person well paid? Were they looked after? Did they sleep in a steel cage? Was it a child that made it? Was it a child? Because every wind turbine that's put up was built on the back of children in cobalt mines. Everything. that the mainstream media and even social media is throwing at you. I want you to question everything that I'm telling you. And please, don't decide if it's fact or fiction. Use the information to work together to become stronger critical thinkers. We have to know that there's a global enemy. A lot of people will say, but what about 5G? What about 5G? I said, but what about what's in your house right now? Our country is too stupid to roll out 5G. We don't have the infrastructure for it at the moment. No way. Your router might say 5G, but your phone won't be able to receive it. It won't even be able to speak in the language. It's really been a special event for me. And I would like to greet all of you afterwards and for us to take photos so that I can put it in my photo album. Every one of you needs to be a 1 in 100, and we need to increase that. So if you look at the South African population, you will understand how many people we actually need. That's a lot. There needs to be a critical mass of critical thinkers.